Is it on? Oh, it's on. Okay, okay. Hi there. My name is Manni Gomez. This is my first video blog I've ever done, and I'm doing this because I learned something today. Something that I can't write because it's too hard, and something that, when explained, is a tad freaky. But first, I need to explain that I am a criminalist with 22 years of experience in the field, and in all my years, I've never seen something that gave me as many goosebumps as this. Oddly enough, this goosebump causing circumstance has led me to what I've learned today, and that is that anyone who is a criminalist must learn to apply lessons learned on past jobs to the situation at hand, no matter how dissimilar the cases may seem. Okay, let me tell you a story. Back in the 90s, I worked a case in Canada and I found some tire prints that looked really fresh in the snow. That's when I learned those tire prints that look so fresh can actually be artifacts of events that happened much earlier. I learned that this process is called sublimation, and that when snow goes from a solid form to the gaseous state almost directly, and that the print that we see as a newly laid print can be an old print preserved by the snow, and the surface layer sublimated. I know it's a little bit hard to understand, and frankly, I don't really understand it either, but you will understand more when I tell you what happened to me a few days ago. I was called to the high desert in the southwest to a scene of a buried body and asked to collect nearby tire tracks because it was assumed that the person that buried the body had driven to the scene. There were two types of tracks. To me, one was obviously a van or a truck, judging by the size and measurements of the track, and the other, I have no idea. But it looked like a mountain bike, but no tread. Well, guess what? Turns out the first tracks of the larger size was the car that was driven up by the couple that called in the buried body. So that takes out that one, and all that was left was the other one. The impressions were clear and repeated, but there was no tread. I felt so dumbfounded. I took the cast impressions and brought them back to the lab, still no idea what to do. Lucky for me, there would be no investigation. In the process of excavating the body, it was learned that this body can be classified as not just a buried body, as an archaeological dig. Who would have thought? The assistant medical examiner, Carrie Frum, said that the body was preserved by the heat and dry conditions. In these conditions, the body doesn't decay normally. She said that this buried victim likely died over 150 years ago. And remember those tracks I mentioned? Yeah, they were wagon tracks. That explains the absence of tread marks. No rubber to make them. And the reason why everything was in such good condition was almost like the sublimation situation. But sand doesn't sublimate. But like snow, sand has layers. And way back 150 years ago, we discovered that the desert had this rainfall, and shortly after, the woman must have died, and she was buried. And because the ground was wet, she wasn't buried that far into the ground, and the next day was probably so hot, drying and preserving everything. Wow, the things I've seen. Not as strange as this. Anyways, that's what I wanted to tell you, and just telling you makes the hair stand up on my arms. Maybe I will start doing video blogs more often. Thanks for watching. Bye. Manny out. Cool.